progress, so bear with us. This valve comes with a tank. It's a ball valve. One thing to note on this project is you want to make sure that when the water levels are low, that this valve is shut. I'm going to put a cap on it and a manifold underneath. That's a later date. I don't have the funding for it right this second or the time. I'm a full-time student, guys, getting my business degree. But this is the number one best idea we've ever had as far as water storage goes. Holds a lot of water and it lasts a long time. And if done right, there's a thing called head pressure. Head pressure. Okay. When the gravity, so it's a gravity feed system, everybody calls it gravity feed, but in the water industry, it's called head pressure. The more full, the fuller. The more water, I don't know grammatically correct here, the more water that's in the tank from the top, the better your water pressure is going to be. So if you have a black tank and you're like, I don't know how much water's in there, don't worry about it, because as your water level drops, the weight of the water pushing on your little nozzle down here, I don't have the bucket in there to catch it. You've seen it's not all the way through the floor. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet. But as you open this up, everyone's used a pressurized garden hose before. And when you kink the hose, your water level drips off, right? You can open the kink a little bit more. Okay, so it's kind of like that. When this thing's clear full, you've got good water pressure. That's an indicator it's full. When you turn it on, you're getting hardly anything out of it. That's a good indicator to fill it up. With the clear container, I think what we're going to try at a later date is we're going to cover it up so that light transmission is not a problem. But that vinyl hose I got on there, I think we're going to run a little bit of vinyl hose out so we can see. I don't know if that's going to bite me in the hiney or not, but we'll see. Water's one thing not to play around with. You got to have a clean source, and I'm looking at my notes, so pardon me. Transporting it to and fro. Your transportation, maybe the method is a pipe where you have a well on site, and that's what I'm hoping for if I get good water up here. That's in the spring. I'm going to try to find my water. But if you're transporting water, once again, you're strapping. What shape is your container? Do you want a giant round tank in the back of a flatbed truck that just rolls around and beats things up? Then you get holes in it, contaminants in your water. You end up drinking gasoline, motor oil, or whatever, and you don't even know it. It's not good for you. So the shape of your container and how do you transport it? Your weight limit on a vehicle. I've got a little tiny Subaru and I had a big Bronco. I put a 55-gallon water drum in the back of my Bronco and I filled it up in the Bronco. I drive the Bronco to the cabin and then I would run a hose into the house, hook up to this guy. I guess that's a good thing to talk about. I use a potable water hose just like an RV. I pressure up my tanks, and we'll show you how to do that in this video. But we pressure up the tank on the outside, you blow the water into here. If your vehicle is not big enough to handle the weight load, don't do it. It can cause you to crash, it can cause you blowouts, you can damage equipment. I don't know who wants 55 gallons of water busted open in the cabin of their little tiny SUV or the little car. Know the weight rating, check your weight ratings, they are serious. Let me see, types of containers. Okay, we'll go over some water safety tips here. I'll show you some of my water containers. We'll give you two different views. Everybody wants a tour of the cabin. You guys pretty much get it every time I shoot a video. It's not very big. So, okay. All right. This is a 5-gallon. This is a 6-gallon. This one's clear, obviously, and this one is not. However, I know this one's clean because I cleaned it. There's no bottle brush that you're going to stick down here and scrub them out. If somebody knows of a way of cleaning these out other than chemicals, I hate chemicals, guys. Bleach. I use it to shock treat the tanks because it's easy. but that stuff's horrible for your thyroid gland. We'll talk about water safety here. So I use these because I can pick them up, my wife can pick them up, and my teenage boys can pick them up. And we pour them into a larger container. But in doing so, darn mirror, my cameras do not like that bright light for some reason. So in doing so, you're always taking the cap on and off, you know, putting it on and off. What's on your hands, and if it gets inside, is it going to contaminate? So what starts out as fresh water may not be fresh water in a week or two. And this 80-gallon tank will hold it for at least a week or two. Depends on how much we use it. So I've used these for my water. I can see inside of them. I keep them clean. I keep the algae out of them. And then this is also what I use for my shower, because these have a really cool cap. You can hook, it's a garden hose thread in the end of these. You pop that cap. Let me see. Screw it real quick. Holding the laptop and a 5-gallon water jug. See that little round piece in the middle? That pops out. See that little round piece? So that pops out. There's some threads right here. A garden hose hooks right into them. If you have little kids, don't let them play with your caps. They put their mouth on them and everything else. And that's where a lot of germs come from. It's like those candy machines you put the quarter in and turn them. That's a good way to catch the flu. Just go get yourself some M&Ms out of one of those. Right? You got that. You get the idea. So here's a 6-gallon, 23 liters. So if you want to do the math, 6 gallons is equal to 23 liters. It's a dark container. It's great for keeping the light transmission from going through your jug. But the cap, I've broke them. I don't know, this Self-Reliance one. I don't know what brand it is. It looks like a Reliance brand, but I don't know if we're allowed to say that on YouTube or not, but whatever. It's a good sturdy jug for transporting water. These jugs were given to me, and when I picked them up, I looked inside, and they had like black on the inside of the water fill. I'm not putting that in here. They are good, however. Once I took the black and cleaned them up a bit, they're good for just a shower. Just don't drink the water. And long-term storage, not a good option. You could boil it, I guess. And the melting snow, I'm going to try to add into this video. I got a lot of snow outside, as you guys have seen in my videos. Pardon my camera, it's not the best for bright light. And it's doing real good in here, but once you get, that is what I get. I get that halo effect. You know, now it's not going to do it. So the sun must have shifted. Once the sun comes out on all this snow, everything turns white. But speaking of snow, the longer the snow sits, the more particulate from the atmosphere, and birds and dogs and little mice that you don't see their little tracks run across, and what are they dropping off? Snow is good in an emergency situation. Having the ability to melt it is good. And you're going to see some of my stove here. This is the only way I have to melt it, is a propane stove. I have to haul my propane in by a tank just like I do my water. For those of you going, hey, why don't you just melt snow? It might as well just bring up my water. It's just as light. It costs me a lot less. There is, in fact, a way I could do it, is if I took a 5-gallon bucket or something, filled it full of snow, and just let it sit inside the house and periodically fill it up. I could do it that way, and I might try it, but I have a dog, I have little kids, and they go wherever they want to. So melting snow. If I was by myself, I knew the snow was clean. You want to take off, pardon me if I'm not exactly right. You want to take off the first 3 or 4 inches. If you don't have 3 or 4 inches, maybe take off the first inch or 2. And you're looking for little tiny granules of dust and stuff. Those can be contaminated. Those can be the contaminant. I mean, say someone's got a fire going and it's not a clean burning fire and they're dropping ash all over the place. That's how the snowflakes form in the first place, right? but Mother Nature has a way of cleaning things up. Filtration through the ground. Any surface water is questionable water unless it's coming straight out of the ground and it's been tested. Groundwater. H2S. I don't know if anybody knows what groundwater and H2S. Hydrogen sulfide gas gets trapped in groundwater. And I'm not sure if all groundwater has it because I haven't tested it, but back where I lived, H2S in the groundwater was a bad thing. It is not good for your body. So how good is the water in your ground? Get it tested. Have it tested for H2S. It goes back to that commercial. There's an acceptable amount of lead in this water. They're going to tell you there's an acceptable amount of H2S gas in this water. It's kind of like a carbonated soda. You look at the soda, it looks good. You crack the top and the bubbles form, right? When you disturb the water, that's when... I'm not a water expert, okay? I just know a little bit about water. I do things the way I do things. That's why I moved up here, so I could make my own decisions and not have someone dictate to me. Why I use the water the way I do, the amount of water I use. I use very little. We use it very sparingly. But at the same time, we try to use our water so that you don't have water just sitting around going bad. The longer it sits, the more likely it is to get some contamination in it, okay? So to reduce the risk or mitigate the risk, we use the water quickly so it doesn't have a chance to grow stuff in it. Now granted, we do have quite a bit, and when we do get our cistern, we will get a cistern eventually when we get our well. That water is going to cycle. If we run into an emergency, say a power outage, we get snowed in, we have a surplus of water, and we can utilize it as we need to. But keeping your water flowing, the reason lakes and stuff go stagnant is because they're just sitting. So water that sits is not a good thing. So use your water, know how to get more. That's the key. Your resupply is more important than having a whole bunch on hand. Okay guys, the one big thing I want to emphasize is your water supply. A lot of people say, hey, I got 900 gallons on hand. That's good, but if you're not using it, it has the opportunity to sit around and get contaminated in some way. This is my personal opinion, but being able to get more water more often is better than having a whole lot of water on hand. If you have an entire lake, you can't drink that lake unless you can clean it up. I mean, having a whole lot's good, but if you can't drink it, what good does it do you? So having the ability to gain a resupply. When I say resupply, I'm talking about clean, drinkable water. I'm not talking about, hey, I got a lake over here, I can go drink that lake. Okay, great, you can go drink that lake, but not in its raw state. You still have to be able to purify it. Your resupply, in my opinion, is the most important ability a person can have to maintain healthy and clean water. Regardless, I mean, if you have a lot of water, it gets contaminated, you have to be able to clean it up. If you have a huge source of water, it's contaminated, you have to clean it up. So your talent of cleaning water, or knowing where to get the clean water, you're eventually going to run out. Whether it be because the water is no longer usable because it's bad, or you drank it all. So your resupply is your most important asset that you can have. Knowing how to clean up dirty water is a form of resupply. Hey, thanks for watching this. I think I'm going to do a third video. It's not going to be quite like this, but if you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you don't like what you see, please put down a comment that maybe I can learn from. Maybe you know something I don't. So thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful day, and keep your water safe.